Boy Scouts eyes.
And then, oh, do we? Okay, okay. Sure, all right, so wherever you go. Okay. Yeah, they're all here.
I think his family is coming in.
Yeah, all family. And are they still coming in, Jason? That's it? Okay. Just checking, just checking.
We'll go ahead and get started with the city council meeting, please. Stand up for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lisa, roll call, please.
Mayor Mahler,
Present.
Counselor Gerson,
Present.
Counselor Trask,
Present.
Counselor Gorley, Counselor Coleman, present, Counselor Sanchez, here, Counselor Richards.
Present.
Let the record show we have 6 present with 1 non-present. Counselor Gorley was working today in Portland and not able to make tonight's meeting. That said, I need a motion to excuse her not only from work session that we just came out of and also council.
So moved. Second.
Just a second by roll call, please.
Counselor Trask.
Yes.
Counselor Coleman.
Yes.
Mayor Mahler,
Yes.
Counselor Gerson,
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
Counselor Richards.
Aye.
Let the record show we have nays approval of the excused council meeting for Lisa, Counselor. Before we get started, would you want to go ahead and do the online information? Oh, that's fine. I'll just go ahead and read it. For those in the audience, what we're doing here is because of COVID, we've been running all our meetings online. So we have a lot of people that are watching from home on computer or on TV. So at that point, I have to read instructions. So I'll go ahead and read the meeting instructions for online participating in public meetings. Thank you for everyone for joining us this evening. For members of the public who would like to take part in tonight's meeting virtually, we have some instructions to help in case you are new to using Microsoft Teams. To take part, you need to locate the chat bubble icon to participate in the meeting online. The chat bubble icon indicated with a yellow arrow on your screen now, maybe in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, or you may need to click on the 3 dots to see the extended drop-down menu. If you wish to be recognized by the mayor to speak during this meeting, please choose the bubble icon to enter the meeting chat. It will appear on the right-hand side of your screen. In the chat, enter your name, address, and phone number, followed by the topic you wish to discuss with the council. If you have signed in, you may be called upon to speak at any point during the meeting, but probably during the agenda item which you have entered to speak about. You can choose the hand icon, also located in the upper right-hand corner, to indicate the desire to speak. It's equivalent to raising your hand. The mayor, acting chairperson, or moderator will ask you to speak at the appropriate time. We'll give everyone who may wish to speak tonight a few minutes right now to enter their name, address, and phone number and topic they'd like to address the council. In the interest of time, speakers should not repeat the points of the previous speaker. Instead, state your that you agree with the point or disagree with the point. Each speaker will allot 3 minutes. Any extension of that time is at the sole discretion of the mayor or the meeting chairperson per council rules. Those joining by phone will be noted by the moderator for the mayor chairperson and called to speak at an appropriate time. The fact the meeting is online does not excuse poor behavior, and the mayor does retain the right to have people removed from the meeting as stated in council rules. That said, we'll go ahead and look at the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second by roll call, please.
I'm sorry, I missed the second. Representative or Counselor Gerson.
Councilor.
Thank you. Counselor Richards. Aye. Counselor Sanchez.
Yes.
Counselor Gerson.
Aye.
Mayor Mahler.
Aye.
Counselor Coleman.
Yes.
Counselor Trask.
Let the record show with 6 ayes, no nays, with 1 absent approval of consent agenda. Moving on to recognition of visitors and hearing of petitions. At this time, I will turn it over to Chief Lynn. We had some promotions, a retirement, and a lot of changes within our police department, and we got some great officers here this evening. I'll let Chief Lynn take it over.
Yes, I really appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you, and really it's kind of an exciting time for our department. And as most of you know, that Sergeant Jason Van Aert yesterday, after 28 years of service to the citizens, he'll be truly missed. You know, I mentioned yesterday, it was a bittersweet moment. Sweet for him to get to go off into retirement and try something new. Bitter for us that we'll miss his leadership, his guidance, and like I said, for almost 3 decades, he's been a pillar of our department. And so those are going to be big shoes to fill. But as you see back here, we're going to have 3 individuals step up who I know can fill those shoes that Jason has. And so actually, the 3 want to step on up. It's really a unique time. We're repositioning our department and kind of restructuring. And so before you today is a promotion to a captain promotion, which is the new position. A sergeant has been promoted to fill Jason Van Aert's shoes. And our newest officer is here as well, who's just starting his law enforcement career. So it's a unique time. We've never done something like this, all 3 at once. And so we're excited on where this is going to take our department and how we're going to move forward. There'll be a lot of challenges. Let's be honest with that. You know, we're still short on people, but it's a fantastic time. So first of all, I'll introduce you to our newest police officer who started Monday of last week, Trevor Sundquist. Trevor comes to us from Hillsborough area, and he went to college in Montana, studied in there, and he came back. The nice thing about Trevor, he has a lot of extended family in the area. As you can see, he's well represented and with grandparents living in the immediate area. And I think Trevor's going to be doing an amazing job for us and fit in really well with his personality and his skill set that he's going to bring. David Hickox. He has been with our department since 2012, and he has been promoted to the sergeant position that was vacated by Jason Van Aert. Dave's been with us, like I said, since 2012. He came to us after 6 years in the military, 6 years in the Army with the military police, and he's been heavily involved in all aspects of our department, specifically training, from training new officers to the lead firearms instructor for our department, less lethal instructor, and he has been most recently a member of the SWAT team, regional SWAT team. We're super excited that Dave's been here for almost 10 years and gets the opportunity to further his career with us. And we're just really looking forward to what Dave can bring. He's not as big as Jason, but I think he can fill those shoes. He can fill the shoes. I'm sure he can. And then Jason Ogden. And Jason's been in law enforcement with our department for almost 24 years now. And he comes out of California. We've never held that against him. He comes out of California, and he's served many roles in our department. And he's had 2 different stints in detectives. He's been a field training officer. He was actually my field training officer as well. So he's been a vital member of our department, and he's been really one of my go-to individuals to that helps us tackle whatever issues we may face. He brings a wealth of knowledge in different disciplines, and he has been promoted to our new captain's position. So today is we get to swear them all three in, and it's a historic day, and excited and giddy on what we can do in the future. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to City Manager Towery to swear him in. And actually, guys, if we can probably get you to line up, we'll kind of get you in the middle of this, and we're going to do them all three at the same time in the spirit of Islam.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for doing what you do for our community, first and foremost. For what you're going to be doing for our community. So if you could raise your right hand and do your best to repeat after me. I state your name.
I, David Hickox,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the laws and ordinances of the city of Sweet Home, and the
The
rules
law-
and regulations of the Sweet Home Police Department.
the laws and ordinance of the city's Sweet Home, and the rules and regulations of the Sweet Home Police Department,
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office to which I have been appointed,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office to which I have been appointed
in and for the city of Sweet Home, according to law and to the best of my ability.
in and for the city of Sweet Home, according to the law and to the best of my ability.
Gentlemen, congratulations.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, before they leave, I would like to have all of you at one at a time. Who your family is. Stand up, you tell, I want to know who they are. Because we may change our mind.
My family. I'll just go back.
Okay, good.
This is my wife Pam. We've been married almost 25 years here in the next couple of weeks. And my oldest daughter Kelly in the back. We've got Luca. We've got Ivan. Kimber. Edson. And our newest addition, Johnson.
That's Lorianne Hickok. She's the one sitting at the door in the black dress. My boys are in the hall, Dawson and Wesley. We've been married for almost 7 years, together for about a decade. So.
Brenda, my grandparents, Paul Reimer. I've got my brother and Kathy and my best friend Andrew. If I can, I really appreciate your family. It's really a special moment, especially for all of them, but Trevor as well. You know, law enforcement. Yeah, so many roots. Our community. So may have moved out to Hillsborough, but still you're born and bred here. So really appreciate it. We're excited for it. And thank you for showing up.
On behalf of the city of Sweet Home, congratulations to Officer Ogden, Officer Hickox, and welcome aboard, Officer Sunquist. Our chief always hires great people and he promotes great people. Thank you.
You don't have to stay for the rest.
Oh my God, no, you don't.
Well, now that we've cleared out a couple hundred out of the council chambers here. Just kidding. We'll move on with recognition of hearing visitors. We do have a gentleman here this evening that has came to have a brief discussion regarding Moose International. You'd like to come forth with name and address and give us your presentation this evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council ladies. I'm Dwayne Edmondson and I'm representing Moose International and the Loyal Order of Moose. We also have an association, state association, that I'm also a part of. When I was back in Cincinnati at the International Convention, I was assigned to bring the Youth Awareness Program, which is one of our flagship programs, to Sweet Home Oregon. Okay, talking to the counseling department at the school district and also the counseling department at the Sweet Home High School. They're all waiting in with great expectations. The reason the program is a mentoring program, sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school, talking to 4 to 9 grammar school to keep them safe and out of harm's way. The reason we ask the high school students to do this is because they have so much positive peer pressure over the little kids. Okay. Subsequently, the program works. It's been working for 30 years that I've been involved in it. And the whole thing is that we wanted to bring the program to Sweet Home because you have a growing community here, and we want to be part of it. We do fundraising. We do different things to generate funds for the students. Okay, we bring the different lodges to bear, and also the association from Oregon to these events. And I should have further talk about the program. The reason the program was written from the sociology department at University of Oregon and also Columbia. And then we went to the Loyal Order of Moose because with one stroke of the pen, we were represented in the United States, Canada, Great Britain, and also with the Legion of the Moose and the Legionnaires, they put up to $30,000 in scholarships for the kids. Okay. We've also, I've been out campaigning all day. That's why I look a little frazzled, but that's okay. The thing is that we got Steve down at the U.S. Bank who's going to orchestrate all the funds for your area. Okay. So when funds are titrated from for a deserving student from the Sweet Home High School, funds will be generated from Moose International to the Key Bank, and Key Bank will in turn send the designated certified check to the student and family. Okay. So anyway, that way there's no innuendo and everything is above board and takes care of business. Anyway, what I'm here standing in front of you for is I would like to you to sanction, as well as probably become a part of our effort to keep the little kids safe in the grammar schools. And of course, officer, I certainly appreciate you too. All right. Anyway, that's about all I got there. I just wanted to make you aware that these efforts are being done in your community, and I've been out talking to all your friends and neighbors, and including the mayor this afternoon. Okay. Anyway, so the Moose is coming to town, and that's the other thing is we're working in conjunction with the VFW and the Elks Lodge, and the Elks are going to give us a meeting space at their lodge, and that's where we'll probably orchestrate the program from. Okay. So anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you for your time and thank you for bringing this to our community and all your efforts.
Yes, thank you.
Any other visitors or recognition petitions to be heard? Anything online? Okay. Moving on, new business, request for city council action 2021 audit contract.
As you're probably aware, we're audited every year. This is a renewal of the contract with the firm which has been doing our audit for some time. I'll go ahead and let Brandon fill you in on some specifics. answer any questions.
Not much has changed in the contract that's before you. It's being brought to you so that you all as the governing body of this organization can approve, and then the mayor can sign off as the governing authority. The dollar figure has changed, so you'll notice in this year's contract that dollar figure is 40,000. Per the request for council action, our budgeted amount for this fiscal year is 42,000. There is a secondary small audit that happens related to our benefits, which will eat up that other couple grand. But this will fit within the existing budget that we have. So unless you have any specific questions, I have nothing further.
I know they do a great job for our city. We've used them for a lot of years. But it seems like they keep going up in price each time. So I don't know if we necessarily want to do it now, but maybe moving into the future, we may want to check with, other firms to see where they stand in price.
We could certainly do so. I think you're going to see some kind of escalator. We've seen escalators with Grove Mueller and Swank each year. I think you'll see that as fairly typical for most auditing firms. Certainly wouldn't be it would certainly behoove us to maybe go out and see if anybody has a better rate. But I think that you'll see kind of those annual escalators with anybody that you bring on board.
I guess my concern is like anything, we get complacent with one organization and
Sure.
we get our blinders on and I realize that, they may be getting get overpriced, but that would be my only input on this. They've been great for us and they've done a great job. So I don't really have any issues there, but something to think about.
If the council wishes, and I believe maybe it was one of the action items, then certainly, yes, we can make sure that by the time we get to next year's cycle, we have done an RFP. I think the last RFP that picked up GMS was done in 2001, I want to say. So it has been a significant amount of time, yes.
Yes, Mayor. Brandon, are they going to come and talk to us? They're not familiar.
Yes, we'll try to get that set up with them. It's certainly been a long time since the close of the fiscal year. The audits are out there. I do have paper copies if you all want a paper copy. We finished that back in April. And just with everything going on and COVID protocols, we haven't been able to schedule that. But certainly if the council wishes, we can make sure they get to visit you.
Any questions or anything other council?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just want to say I agree with the mayor, so I think it would be better next time to get just more than one
Sure.
possible bid. It's kind of like car insurance. Go to all of them.
Anything else of council? I need council directive.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the contract with Grove, Mueller, and Swank PC with the caveat that we will go out for an RFP next year.
Second.
Motion second by roll call, please.
Counselor Gerson,
Aye.
Counselor Trask.
Aye.
Counselor Coleman,
Aye.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
Counselor Richards,
Aye.
Mayor Mueller.
Aye. Let the record show 6 ayes, no nays, 1 absent. Approval of the 2021 audit contract. There's no first readings of ordinance bills. We do have a second reading. Ordinance bill number 3 for 2021. By title only.
And read it. Ordinance bill number 3 for 2021. Ordinance number blank. In the matter of water, street, sidewalk, curb, gutter, and storm drain improvements for the Willow Yucca Street Neighborhood LID and declaring a need for an expediency clause.
Any questions of council?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, not really a question, kind of just a comment. I'm going to vote no on this just because same reasons I did before. I do not feel like the cost that the homeowners are having, or the homeowners are having to pay is just outrageous. And I feel like the city should have to take more of that cost. And that's why I'm against it. But
Okay. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, I have a
Go ahead.
comment. So the the 300,000 that the city's putting into this, we've specified it is for the pavement, right? Or the street, whatever we want to call it. So does that need to be in the ordinance, or is that just an understanding that we know that that's what's going to happen?
So the ordinance states that there will be a resolution later that will essentially outline the amounts that will need to be paid, because this is all an estimate. Once construction happens, then the actual amount that is spent we will use this methodology to determine what that amount is for each of the property owners. And so there is an opportunity at that time to ingrain it in that resolution. The one thing that is a concern of staff's, at least, is that the way the methodology was produced essentially had the city involvement based on a percentage of the total cost per property. To distill that to pay for just pavement is rather difficult, in that some properties have more street frontage than other properties, and so forth. And so it's not easy to say it's that this money is just for pavement, because well, for example, and I can provide this a copy. This is a breakdown of the infrastructure costs. So the total project cost is 1.7 million, broken down into different areas and different types of infrastructure. The mobilization is $255,450. Of that, 100,000 is the water system and 155,000 is the street system. The water infrastructure is $564,000, and then the roadway infrastructure totals $734,000. But that includes paving, sidewalks, and curbs and driveways, and the stormwater management. So the paving that we talked about at the last meeting with the various overlay projects is just paving of the street, no curb, no sidewalk, no stormwater. And so the entire LAD includes all of those things. Breaking it down to just the paving itself, that comes to about $264,000. So we could say the city is just paying that $264,000. The question is, how are we dividing that among all of these properties that are within the LID? It means some properties are going to get more of that benefit than others, is what I'm saying. So I'm concerned about being able to communicate that to the public in the LID, to the neighborhood, because up until through the public hearing, we had a methodology that said this is based on a percentage the city is going to pay. And so changing that hasn't been communicated to those folks. So we can move forward with limiting the city's involvement to just paving. All I'm saying is it is changing the game a little bit for those folks.
Because some people have more street front than others.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is just an estimate of what the costs are,
mm-hmm.
Are we saying it's not going to go over this, or are we saying we don't know what it's going to be really?
We're saying this is our best, the 1.7 million is our best estimate of what the whole thing will cost. And this is our methodology. We put, basically, this is our formula of how it's going to be divided up among all the people. And when we get the actual costs, that's what will be used to divide up among all of the property owners by that formula. So we can't promise people that this is going to be the exact cost, because costs change, costs go up, go down, and so forth. And hopefully we get some really great bids, and our estimates are overly conservative and we save some money.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'm a little concerned about the speaking of bids, because I know we've talked about a few bids at the last council meeting, we talked about Juniper. And that bid had came way over. Well, I'm worried that this bid is going to be the same difference, that they're going to bid really low and then when they actually do, it's going to be way over.
That's the nature of public works projects, is that, you know, we must go out to bid for these projects, and we can't control what people will actually bid on them. So, it's the reality of it.
I do want to add, though, that at that point, we'd have the ability, if we wanted to say, we can't do this with this and head the other direction. So changes mean we can back out if we decide to.
Right. And that's true. When we come back with you know, put out an RFP, get the actual bids and so forth, there will be an opportunity for the council to examine that and say, no, we have to pull out.
Thank you.
Well, I think we're also very conscientious of the citizens' pocketbooks too in the end run. So we're not just gonna get crazy.
Well, and that's
This.
at each stage in the decision process, when we get those bids and so forth, at each stage, there's an opportunity for this. If the city wishes to proceed despite an increase, the city can choose to adjust its contribution, or just stop the project. So that's certainly, most people don't object to the estimate being lower. And so the city certainly could affect that with its contribution.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, if this is the numbers that I found, whoever gave this to us, I appreciate it. There was 11 petitioners and there's 28 people in the community. So it seems to me like the minority is trying to still push for this, not the majority. And so if the cost did overrun and it did cost a lot more, I don't think that's fair whatsoever.
So if I may address that, the question is, yes, there are 11 people on there, but it reflects the number of properties and the amount of acreage that those people own. And so whether it's fair or not depends on your view of property rights and what that means for infrastructure.
I just meant with the fact that there are 28 property owners and 11 property owners came to petition. So that's 17 that didn't say anything.
If I could, the way the ordinance is written, it's based on ownership. So it's a property, it's property owners. So yeah, you have one party who owns the majority of the number of properties.
And acreage.
And acreage. Excuse me. So the process is set up by properties, not by people. So if you own 50 of the 100 properties, that's the way that the system is set up. Because even though there might only be that person, he's paying 50 properties, being assessed 50 times, versus the other people who are only being assessed one time because they only own one property. That's just the way that the system is written up.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say you're right or wrong. I think Blair did a good job of explaining it, but just so everybody's clear, one of those people owns a significant amount of acreage and number of properties.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, I've been very iffy about this, and I'm still on the cusp of this thing because 29 pieces of property are owned by a corporation, if I may call it that, an LLC, whatever it's called. And from my perspective, that person has the ability to take the costs, all these costs off of their taxes, where the homeowner is going to be not taking those. They're going to be just liable for those costs forever. And now I'm really iffy about the whole estimation of what the costs are going to be. I don't know. I don't like this right now.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, I think the water is the biggest issue for me. I think that those people deserve to have good water, and the overlays and stuff, there's no way for us to know how much it's gonna cost. There's no way. I mean, you can you can estimate whatever you want, but that doesn't mean it's gonna be that way at the end. But from my standpoint, at the very minimum, we need to give them the water that they need. The overlays, I guess we could decide at some later date, but we're gonna tear up the streets like crazy. There's no doubt about that. And all those laterals are gonna have to be done and blah, blah, blah. It's gonna go on and on. And I don't know, Blair, what is the estimate on the cost of putting water in? Can you just give me a rough number?
So the water infrastructure includes three different, let me just do some quick math.
I have that answer actually.
You already got it?
Yep.
That's because you're the numbers.
$730,715.
How much?
$730,715. Now, I do want to preface that's probably not including what it would cost to repair at least what existing street there is, because if there's a streets plan, then that wouldn't be figured in. So you could probably add a little bit to that to either put down new gravel or whatever's out there. I'm not a professional at that, but anyways, estimated at about 730,000.
Mr. Mayor, I've been on the fence about it a bit too, but after listening to the one gentleman who sat up front here, hearing about somebody in a wheelchair trying to cross that street, and also knowing that they don't have water, and understanding that there are 11 petitioners who have agreed to this, 2 homeowners have not liked it, but nobody else has shown up. There is something about the silent majority, and when people dislike something, they will let themselves be heard. And the fact that we haven't heard from the rest of them, I'm not saying they're going to like it, but at the same time, at the end of the day, I think that the improvements to their property are going to be very valuable, not just to their property, but to their life, as far as driving in and out of their driveway, their children playing, walking on streets, all of those things that will benefit just living. I don't like the idea of taxing people or putting this, it's not a tax, but putting this burden on them. But I also understand that the development of that property is the property owner's responsibility. When you purchase a property, you pay for street development, water, sewer, hookups, all of that within the value of the home. So I know that that is part of their responsibility as a property. So I'm still not saying yay, but saying I think we need to move forward with this for that development area.
I have a few questions and concerns about this too, but just like Councilor Coleman said, she said it eloquently, very good job. But just like Blair said too, the bottom line is we're in the middle of the lake. Would you want to swim back and hopefully you swim and you survive or you drown? Bottom line is we are moving forward with this. Just like Blair says, we can, at the very end of the day, we can say, no, it's too high. We back off, or we switch the game plan when we find out what the actual numbers are. That's at the end of the day when we find out what it's really going to cost. They may come in less, they may come in more. That's out of our control, like Blair said. But I think we need to move forward and see what it comes to, and then at that time make our decisions. I don't think we need to just stop right midstream and say, "Oh, we're done."
If I, Robert, suppose council decides they'd like to throw ARPA money at this, and it comes back around to that resolution, do they still have the ability to change the amount that they contribute?
I think the ordinance allows the council to contribute what they think is a benefit, what they believe is the proper amount, and they can do that at any time during the process. Something may come in that we aren't aware of right now, and they may be able to put it towards that infrastructure or whatever. It may not, but that's just, if something did, then there wouldn't be anything to stop it. I don't think there's anything in the ordinance that says you've got to do it by a certain time. It's just when the time comes to make the decision, that's what you're going to have to work with the facts that you've got at that time.
You do still have to follow the methodology, but you can go lower.
Right. I mean, but if you're right, you follow the methodology, but if you had an extra whatever, and the city says we're putting this in, then it basically just works out on a percentage of who it helps.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would just like to point out is councils of the past 4 or 5 years, we've had a lot of discussions about conditions of streets in our community and infrastructure. I just want to say you may not ever have the opportunity to have an individual corporation contribute in the manner in which is currently being offered to you. The main petitioner, the main property owner is basically giving up $300,000 to help other people in the community. You may not get that opportunity again. I think that's important to point out. And again, you can, as a council, you can certainly adjust the amount that you want to contribute later on, higher and lower, when the bids actually come in. So passing this just means we can go and find out the true costs at this point.
Yeah.
If you get through the third reading, you will have at least 1, maybe 2 more opportunities to accept bids when they come in, and you can say no at that time. It's just too expensive.
That's exactly to my point. With my experience with LIDs, that's exactly it. In the past, some of the LEDs that we've had, the numbers have came in real high, and we've had some come in low. So it's a dark game, and then in the middle of you just don't know. So I think we need to just continue forward with that. So if nothing other further, I just need a council directive if we need to move this on for third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second by roll call, please, Julie.
Counselor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Trask,
Yes.
Counselor Gerson,
Yes.
Mayor Muller,
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez,
No.
Counselor Richards.
Let the record show we have 4 ayes, 2 nays with 1 absent. Moving this forward, third and final reading on July 27th, our next council meeting by title only. We don't have any third readings tonight, so moving on to reports of committees. Any reports from committees? Okay. I will go on down to mayor's report. I got a couple topics I would like to talk about. First one, I met with or had discussion with our city manager, and I think he's probably reached out already. I think it's behoove of us to have a meeting with our county commissioners, whether it's on a lunch or a dinner, and sit down and hold some hard, tough decisions and discussions with them as far as our community and what direction we're going and how we can partner up and get on the same page with our county commissioners as what we got going on in our community. So that said, I think Ray will reach out and set up a time to see what can make that happen. The next thing is kind of a concerning topic that I want to talk about. Councilor Trask and I are on the fire department. We've been on for a long time. We see firsthand, and I know Chief Lynn can verify a lot of this too. There's been too many accidents on Main Street, especially in the last couple of years, and especially around 22nd Avenue. And it's getting a little concerning because we've had 3 within the last month that I'm aware of, and some are very critical. It's concerning about the speed that's going on Main Street. I know the chief is working to the best of his ability to try to curb some of the speed, but we still have a racetrack going on downtown. And the other thing too is we've reached out to ODOT and they seem to just kind of ignore us. And we've had a lot of efforts with ODOT over the years of trying to get something accomplished in our community, not only on 22nd, but on Pleasant Valley, and throughout our community. And even in regards to our speed signs and what we've got going on. And in the latest, I know Councilor Sanchez is working from her end of trying to get some kind of sign with, pedestrian sign down by 22nd. And supposedly that's in the works. Still have not heard where that's at. I think, Mr. Towery, that we need to reach out, have a conversation with our ODOT heads of them, have them come to our community and have a sit down meeting with them, and then have a once and for all powwow about their responsibility to protect our citizens and our community and Highway 20. No more of this ignoring our community like I feel they have. It's time to step up and get some things accomplished, just like this streets or this sidewalk program out here from Jay Point Inn. I want to see it before I retire. I mean, these are things that ODOT needs to step up and get accomplished and quit putting this on the back burner. So unless the council disagrees, I think that we need to move forward and get a hold of our ODOT and establish this meeting and get this accomplished.
Mr. Mayor, I agree with the accident issues that we've had, and I know that Chief Lynn knows about the one at Highway 20 and Pleasant Valley. It was a horrible, horrible accident. And people just are not, the speed limit sign by the subway, they're not paying attention to that. We could have one every block, it does seems like, and they still don't slow down. They just don't. It amazes me. They might slow down at first, but then when they get past that, they seem like they go right back up. Anyway, and that's not your fault. I'm not saying that at all. It's just that it just blows my mind that we can't follow those rules. It just drives me nuts. We just had an accident 2 days ago with a kid hit on a bike at 22nd Avenue on Highway 20. They're lucky they're probably still breathing.
And not counting the 22nd with a motorcycle rear in its car or with car.
And that's on ODOT. That's not on us. We can't do anything about that. You just can't. So anyway, I agree with you, Mayor.
I agree with the mayor. I've been in a few accidents myself in the years I've been driving. None were, I guess some were my fault, but not all of them, but a few on Highway 20. And I definitely feel like they could, ODOT's got to do something. We can't, someone's going to die is the bottom line, or a kid's going to die or get hit or something. But we can't just keep having all these accidents happen and do nothing about it. But yeah.
Any other feedback on that? What's your thoughts, Chief?
Well, on this exact topic, our Monday morning department head meeting was the end of it was on this exact topic on how to address these issues from multiple aspects. One isn't going to, just enforcement isn't going to control it, I don't believe. I think there has to be some traffic calming done somehow on Main Street, and that's in the downtown corridor as well as out in front of City Hall here. So it's really not one answer that's going to solve all of our problems. It's a series of things, and that can be a number of different traffic calming issues from the pedestrian crossings. We're in dire need of pedestrian crossings in the east end of our town. There is some speed enforcement that absolutely has to be done, and we've been working on that, but we can still do a better job. And so all of these things we've talked about, and ODOT is going to be a major player in it. I think we can all agree that they have the majority of control over Highway 20. And actually, as we move forward, during the next council meeting, we were going to talk about some of the efforts we're going to try to make on Main Street from our department standpoint, just to address the speed, show you the recent data that we're collecting from the signs, and it's not good. Nobody can sit here and say that the traffic's good. It's disappointing. Is an easy word to say. You know, I don't have the data in front of me, but probably 40% of the drivers along Main Street are driving 5 miles or more over the speed limit, and that pretty much runs from 10th Avenue to 43rd, 44th Avenue, where we're really monitoring it, and it's a staggering number. Where throughout the rest of the avenues, we're doing solid as far as the citizens and their driving are really obeying the speed. But unfortunately, I don't think enforcement is going to just solve that 40% of the drivers. I mean, no matter how many tickets we give out, I think there's still going to be other issues that we need to look at addressing.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, it's like a freeway out there and people are just headed from I-5 to get to Bend or something through the pass. And so I don't know what type of solutions we can come up with, but I would like to see some of the ARPA money go to some safety issues on the highway as well too, and maybe match something that ODOT might like to do. We can get to that point. Thank you.
I don't believe our ARPA funds are able to be spent on this. It's very specific from what we're seeing and reading right now. Water, sewer, broadband, grant program. That's pretty much it, I think.
Yeah, the only thing we'd be able to do is by freeing up, like if we used ARPA money for, I don't really have anything because the only thing we could do is use general fund dollars, and we don't have anything that ARPA funds could cover in the general fund to free up our own dollars.
So the ARPA funds that came from Senator Girard and Representative Kate are going to this very thing. So I'm
Correct.
not quite sure what the difference would be for the city.
It's two different pots.
Oh.
They
So-
have a different
Yeah,
set of
they have a
rules.
different set of rules. They got a little more freedom as state electeds than what cities are being allowed to do.
Okay, so then I just propose speed bumps throughout the entire time.
So if I may, I just wanted to kind of forewarn you. I think Councillor Sanchez put it correctly that it's like a freeway going through town on the way to Bend. And the reason is because it's a nice, wide, comfortable road. And when you have a nice, wide, comfortable road, you lay down and you hit the gas and you go fast. That's just the design of that road. It's been designed to be fast. The problem is to design that and slow it down. The way you do that is either you put speed bumps all over the place, or you make the corridor narrower, so that not necessarily physically narrower, but you make it feel narrower so that the driver is less comfortable going as fast as they are. And so there's a way to design it so that it feels that way. But I'm just kind of putting it out there. Just be prepared that some of the recommendations that are going to come before you may not be popular among the people, and it may not be popular among you, but they're likely to be things that actually have data behind them of actually slowing people down and making it feel more of a corridor.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, didn't the city on First Avenue, didn't it used to only be one side you could park on, and then they thought if they made it where you could park on both sides, traffic would slow down? And it never did slow down traffic at all. All it did was cause more traffic.
If I could, the data would not support that. The data from the radar signs there is a high volume of traffic on First Avenue.
The last 25 years.
Correct, yeah. But the speed is actually, there's a low percentage of people who are actually doing 5 miles an hour or over. There's certainly it's a cutoff from one highway to the other, and there's a high volume, but the radar data, we've had many conversations with residents who feel that there's a lot of speeding, and in a way they're right.
So they're just swerve around everyone. I think it's the main thing.
Yeah.
I mean, all it did was make it more dangerous, I guess you could say, because I know there is a lot of accidents that happen.
I don't know that the data would support that either. But there's certainly a feeling to that. So,
Mr. Mayor, are we talking about First Avenue speed? I've been on there for 49 years. I can't remember one accident on First Avenue. Not one avenue. on that avenue. And when we did decide to put it both on both sides, it did slow them down, because if you don't, you gotta swerve around to get around the cars. It's just that simple.
Well, we've also had citizens put their trash can in the middle of the street. Kind of an obstacle.
And Mr. Mayor, if I can, I'll include some of the data, not just on Main Street, but First Avenue and the other streets such as 10th Avenue that we've been monitoring, just to kind of give you an indication of just the traffic data that we've been collecting. You know, we want to be data driven. It's kind of hard sometimes, but so we'll bring that as well.
And I know Dave, yeah, he's always right, but I know that I know people that have crashed on First Avenue, so maybe you just weren't home that day or something.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I think having a discussion with ODOT is very important, because they're talking about putting those pedestrian crossings at 49th. By the time traffic gets to 49th going either direction, it is going so fast. I live right there, and I'm not crossing that road, even if there's a pedestrian, crossing, unless there's a signal there, because people are driving 60 miles an hour in that, towing their boats and their trailers and so forth. And so I'm concerned about putting those crosswalks in. And at that point, I mean, I know it's necessary, but think about them putting a crosswalk down at the point, at Shea Point, and the traffic coming off that hill and going down the hill, and it's like they don't. Can we put signs that say that the streets are patrolled, whatever they are or whatever?
We could always do that, but I'm not sure they're paying attention to our lighted traffic monitor signs, so I'm not sure they'll read that.
Flashing school signs. No, they aren't.
But on your point, I'm not sure where some of those crossings stand, but they can be safe. In the number of other areas, I've been in Corvallis recently, and they have some crossing signs that are really well lit and really do a lot of flashing. I don't know I know Joe has done a significant amount of work at these at different times. I don't know where it stands, and I think that's a good conversation for ODOT to see where they.
He said that there wouldn't be lights. There would be an island in the center for us to wait for the next trip.
So
anyway, no lights.
My understanding is there would be lights eventually. What ODOT says about pedestrian crossings is that the most effective thing is to have a pedestrian refuge in the middle. And so that's the first thing that they will pay for. If you want just the flashing beacon and the lights, that's the cheapest thing to do, but it's, in ODOT's perspective, it's not as effective as the pedestrian refuge. And so they won't pay to put lights by themselves. They will only pay to have a refuge first and then lights.
Well, it would be good to talk to some person.
I think I 100% believe that we can talk about this all we want, but if ODOT's not in the picture, we're wasting our time here.
Absolutely.
Because they're not going to do anything that they don't want to do, and they're not going to do anything that probably costs more money than they want to spend, no matter what we do, because we've had several deaths at Cross from Spoletos, several, and anyway, so
I think
we can beat this to death up to another hour, but we're not going to gain anything without ODOT. So
I just say we need to reach out and have a conversation with the head of ODOT.
Try than not try at all, Councilor Trask.
With all due respect, I disagree with that, and I am 100% for going forward. But you cannot get one thing done without ODOT. Period.
Anyway, Mr. Tower, reach out and see if we can get head of ODOT and have a discussion with them. Last but least, I want to say thank you to our public works in the city for all the great work they did this past week and a half, especially prepping for the Sportsman holiday. Your crew did a phenomenal job. I want to say thank you. I think that all the staff of the city did a great job. I think the Sportsman holiday was a success, in my opinion, start to bottom to top, I mean. The only thing that was kind of a flip of a coin was, and I think we just need to address and look at it moving forward in the future, was our fireworks. Depends what part of the city you were at, whether you see it or not. There's consensus of disappointment in our fireworks show this year, but other than that, I think everything went pretty good, and I want to say thank you to everybody that, including the chief. Your officers did a great job of keeping things under control there. So.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to say thank you to all of you who did the fireworks, because I thought it was a beautiful display, and I did this really strange thing. I couldn't see them at first, so I moved. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to talk about the absolute that ran down the street and got idiot that was, so I'm doing. I got a pretty good ticket, but it was a success. It was absolutely a success. And they didn't anticipate as many people as they were going to get. And it was really good. Lots of good cars.
I would say the officers kind of stayed away from O&M, but yeah, probably a wise idea.
Well, Mr. Mayor, they changed that. They couldn't go out across the street.
They still pulled some stuff that like, whoa, it was a success. I thought it was really great. And I like to say the fireworks were good, but depends on where you're at. And some people didn't move. So anyway, moving on, city manager's report.
Last week I attended the OCCMA conference. I'd like to thank you for that opportunity. Had some great sessions. I will be out on vacation next week as my 25th wedding anniversary. And she still wants to spend time and hang out with me apparently. So I'll take that. What that does mean though is I'm not present to prepare your council packets. So that will fall upon staff to do. So I would probably ask if council has anything they would like, particularly on the agenda. I would remind you the process is to ask the mayor. The mayor's prerogative to place things on the agenda, or three of you can request, in my absence, I would say Blair, to add it to the agenda. We do, and one thing we also discussed this week was having an after-action review of the Sportsman's Holiday and everything that happened. The good, the bad, what we can do better, what went well, those kinds of things. I think I agree it was a very successful weekend overall. It was very, very well done. The parade was great. Again, Cut the Gut was top notch. I think I heard it. Did you hear a number this morning of over 200?
I didn't hear.
Yeah, like over 240 of the passports were sold. Some cars purchased multiple passports, but it's still a good indication of how many people were there. I'd also like to thank the police, the public works, and the volunteer firefighters for their work. The Chamber of Commerce as well for their work. And there were some local businesses that were also heavily involved in making that happen. So need to thank all of them. We did lose, as the chief mentioned, Sergeant Van Eck this last week. One of my first introductions with Sergeant Van Eck was he saved me from getting beat up by somebody trying to steal out of Safeway. So it's a big loss for us and for our community. He does plan on staying in the area and still being involved in things. So that's a good thing for everybody. The library services director is slated to start August 16th. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Okay. Department directors report. Any questions of the department directors, or department directors want to bring anything up?
If I may, Mr. Mayor, turn off water tomorrow. 48 accounts as of me coming into this room. So it is lower than we've had. It's trending in the right direction, certainly, but certainly we wish there were none on the list.
Anything else? Council business good of order, CIS longevity award.
When you pay your premiums for a certain length of time, then they give you a nice letter and a plaque thanking you for paying your premiums for a certain length of time. So I believe it's a 30-year award. So for 30 years, we have paid our premiums to City County Insurance.
Out, there's nothing further. We will go ahead and adjourn at 7:37.